So, as you all surely know by now, we are living through some very complicated times. We are currently under a global pandemic that is bringing with it a major economic collapse of our capitalist economies. And with this economic collapse and with this global pandemic, have come extreme measures that governments, businesses, institutions all around the globe have had to take in order to deal with this situation. And among these extreme decisions, universities have also been affected by this, and thus they have started to close down their campuses and to ask students to leave back to their homes and to stay away from the resident halls and from campus in general. And I, being an economics student at NYU, have been affected by this decision, of course, which I believe is a wise decision. And so I also have to leave back to my home country, which is not a bad thing. I am in love with my country, and every time that I return is always a good thing. But given the dire situation in which we are at, this is obviously not something that makes me extremely happy, and the abrupt manner in which I'm having to leave New York City is obviously something that, I wish that this had a different ending to it, since for my next semester I will go back to Shanghai if the situation allows for it. And since I'm saying goodbye to New York for now, and this has been a very mind-opening experience that I've had here during this academic year, and this city has really taught me many lessons, I wanted to give some meditations of my own on this situation and on my experience so far in NYU. So all I can say about my life here in New York up until now are good things, since I have learned quite a lot living here. I feel that I've become more independent, and I've gained a lot of experience that I think has turned me into a more knowledgeable and better person, and hopefully I will be able to continue this progression, and I will use the knowledge that I've gained so far for productive purposes. But although I'm not extremely happy to have to leave this city and to finish my experience here in such abrupt manner, I have to say that this is what the situation demands of me right now, and since extreme circumstances demand extreme actions, I am willing to make this sacrifice, and I'm willing to return back home to be in a quarantine, since in Spain you cannot leave. Because as citizens of countries that are starting to become affected in severe manners by the spread of the coronavirus, we have the responsibility to stay home, to stop the spread of this virus, and to really try to do everything that we can to help our citizens and to help our society get through this. Because this situation is something that, it's certainly something quite unique in my short life, but it's surely something unique in the lives of people that are a lot older than I am. And although this situation is bringing some of the best in our societies, I have to admit that it's also bringing some of the worst aspects and some of the things that I feel we should reflect on of our cultures and of the way that our life is organized. And by this I mean, of course, certain events that we've been seeing, such as people going to the supermarkets and completely getting rid of everything that is in there, not sharing with other people, increasing prices of necessities such as face masks or hand sanitizers so as to profit from the situation. We've also been able to see how the US is not prepared at all to cope with a situation like this, and this is something that is going to become more obvious as the situation progresses. This has shown us what are the deficiencies in our governments and also specifically in the healthcare system of the United States that prioritizes certain people because of their status of power and of wealth. And of course, under these circumstances, we are able to see in a broader and more specific manner the class division of our society, because as we are already seeing with these stimulus packages and so on, those that are in power in our society are the first ones to receive the necessary aid and the ones that can overcome this situation, leaving everyone behind, which is something that I feel that we should really reconsider, and going once again through a crisis that now it's also becoming economic. Well, it has been economic, I would argue, from the very beginning, but that the economic consequences of this are becoming more and more obvious. I feel that this is going to give us another chance at questioning this system and at seeing with a clear sight what are the contradictions and what are the things that we can actually do to improve it. And so as much as our governments are trying to solve this situation, the reality of the matter is that solving the economic crisis that is coming right now is extremely complicated, because first of all, what our economies are experiencing right now is not only a shock of demand, but it is first and foremost a shock of supply. Because if people cannot go to work, if there is no if there's no availability of work, because businesses have to shut down and so on, so as to stop the spread of the virus, then there's no production, and if there is no production, income output gets reduced, and thus there is a decrease in wealth that leads to people having obviously less wealth at the end of the month, at the end of the year, to meet their their debt and to meet their economic requirements. And no matter how much money you throw into the economy, if production has to stop, this is simply not going to help. So you can inject a lot of liquidity in financial markets so as to stimulate a little bit more credit and to stop this hoarding of money that is occurring right now, and this flight to safety that is happening in the present moment. Although this can help momentarily, the truth is that our economies are being hit by a supply side shock that is really going to hold our economies back, and that is really going to be the main cause of all of the issues that we are going to see and that we are already seeing. And so given the fact that our economies rely on profitability, rely on the process of capital and the reproduction of capital in order to subsist, and that the supply shock is stopping this process from occurring, what we are able to see is how vulnerable our capitalist economies are to shocks of this kind. So as this new economic catastrophe unravels and people are able to experience and to see for themselves what are the consequences of the class dynamics and of the inequality and the exploitation that is that are characteristic features of capitalist societies, maybe this time along from this will emerge a progressive movement that is going to challenge in a stronger manner the power relationship of capitalist societies, and that can challenge the status quo and potentially bring about a better society that works better, not only for a small amount of people but for the whole of society. This situation is really a huge opportunity for us to reflect on the world we live in and to focus our attention on the things that really matter. And I hope that this is something that we start to do, and that us who are seeking for new and better ways to organize society now have the opportunity to start to convince people and to get them to see that the society in which they live doesn't really work for them. And as soon as things start to get bad, that they are going to be the first one to suffer the consequences, and that no one is going to be there to bail them out or to help them with the situation. I mean, of course, they might be helped a little bit now and there, but that in reality, their only purpose is to continue this reproduction of capital, and that if they also want to live in a better society, that there are people like ourselves who are seeking for this answer, and that are going to struggle and that are going to fight for a better world. So this is everything that I felt the need to say so far. And if you have any questions or anything you want me to comment on, you can always ask me. I'm always happy to entertain your questions and to come up with new topics to speak about and so on. And I hope all of you are doing well. I also hope that I will be able to get back to my country and stay there quarantined. Hopefully everything will go as planned, and I will see you in the next video.